Welcome to Faith and Freedom. For the next few minutes, we hope to inform, inspire, and encourage you as we discuss legal victories and challenges to your fundamental freedom and religious liberties. Faith and Freedom comes to you from Liberty Counsel, a civil liberties education and legal defense organization. Join us now as Matt Staver, founder and chairman of Liberty Counsel, explains the latest legal issues all across this country. In the courtrooms of America, Liberty Counsel is winning the battle for your constitutional freedom.
Liberty Counsel files a petition at the United States Supreme Court on the Oklahoma personhood case. I'm Matt Barber, Vice President of Liberty Counsel Action, and joining me again today in studio is Sean Akers, Liberty Counsel's Vice President of Middle Eastern Affairs. And Sean, last week, Liberty Counsel filed a reply petition at the U.S. Supreme Court asking the court to review the proposed Oklahoma personhood amendment case. And the Oklahoma Supreme Court short-circuited the process, the legislative process, by not allowing the people of Oklahoma the right to gather signatures not allowing them to gather signatures, because the state Supreme Court ruled that the personhood amendment conflicted with the U.S. Supreme Court's abortion cases. And Liberty Counsel is representing Personhood USA and Personhood Oklahoma in this case. And, you know, this again is a court stepping in through essentially judicial activism and getting in the way of we the people, you know, to move forward with a ballot initiative to change the Constitution of Oklahoma to recognize what science now holds universally, that from the moment of conception, a person is a person. Now, the left will argue otherwise, but the science is behind the personhood case. In 1973, when Roe v. Wade was decided, that was still up in the air as far as the U.S. Supreme Court justices were concerned. So this case, these cases need to go forward, and ultimately any personhood case or any personhood legislation or ballot initiative that is passed will ultimately arrive at the U.S. Supreme Court. But lower courts and certainly state courts don't need to be intervening and short-circuiting it in the meantime.
You know, Matt, this is one of those cases of literally being 180 degrees off.
Yeah.
Not 360. You didn't make a full circle. It's 180 degrees. It's exactly the opposite. The Constitution should protect the life of an unborn child, should be read that way, to protect the life of an unborn child, with or without a personhood amendment. A personhood amendment should not be necessary. Unfortunately, it is necessary, and we see, or at least it's an avenue to have common sense adopted in the law. I know those are usually mutually exclusive ideas, but it doesn't hurt to interject common sense into the legal field. In this particular case, though, Matt, we're seeing, you and I talked about this in an earlier program on abortion, that abortion in the United States, especially at the federal level, holds a very protected posture, that it doesn't matter what the people think, and in this case, the people themselves wanted to act.
Right.
It doesn't matter what state legislatures think. It doesn't matter who's got the best argument. All that matters is the will of an elected oligarchy that's going to impose their view of utopian reality on everyone, which includes the taking of unborn life, unfortunately.
Well, and unfortunately, the Oklahoma Supreme Court has put the cart before the horse here. This case, you know, the personhood amendment going forward isn't, it's not to overturn Roe v. Wade in one single, maneuver. It simply states what science, the science that is available today, that was available then, but ostensibly was not available 3 decades ago or more, to say, here's what the science says today, so therefore we are going to do what really we're constitutionally required to do, or we should do at least, and that is to protect persons. And from they're in any stage of development, at this being the smallest stage of development. So the momentum is gathering steam. The personhood momentum is gathering steam. And, we're not going to go away, and the personhood movement is not going to go away. We're going to keep pressing forward, and it may take a while, but certainly I think the Oklahoma Supreme Court here has gotten in the way of that. I'm hoping that the U.S. Supreme Court will take a look at this case and will send it back down and let we the people make a decision on this.
Eventually it's going to happen. And it brings up an interesting point, Matt. In this case, the best that we're hoping for is to let we the people make the decision. Mm-hmm. But really, if you think about it, the root of this argument is over who gets to make the decision, and not specifically between the left and the right by any means. We're talking about a decision on who decides when there is life. Now, biblically, Christians understand that God created the entire universe. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. He spoke into existence. The real argument that's taking place here, Matt, is whether we're going to acknowledge a God who says who lives, who is a person, or whether we're going to say God doesn't get to make that decision, we do. Man gets to decide who qualifies as a person and who doesn't qualify as a person. Now, the great travesty with that is we've done that in the past.
Yeah, we sure have.
And every time that we've done that, we've committed incredible atrocities. Every single time that man decides who is a person and who isn't, people suffer. And in this case, it's literally the most vulnerable among us that suffer.
Well, and the parallels, you can't get around them between the Dred Scott decision, between the Roe v. Wade decision. And, it took a civil war for people to finally ascribe to African Americans what was always there, the reality that, of course, that they are persons and that they are deserving of freedom and the same protections that everyone else deserves, the same constitutional protections. The science is unequivocal today that unborn children, from the moment of conception, all of the material is there. All of it, unless barring some outside intervention, a human intervention, or something going wrong with the pregnancy, left alone, that person who is a person is in a different stage of development, will be born, will grow up, and will hopefully die of natural causes somewhere after a long healthy life. Now, this personhood case simply does what it took a civil war to do to free the slaves. We're freeing these little people from the threat that millions upon millions, every 20 seconds in America, a little person is executed for convenience. This merely does what we did in freeing the slaves. This frees these little people from the overhanging threat of abortion homicide.
And so much of it is done with state condoning and state funding, Matt. And the interesting thing about that, we've talked about this many times in the past, that a proper constitutional analysis should ask not where in the Constitution are we prohibited. It should literally, when it's a state action, it should begin by asking, where does a state have the authority to make this decision? Where does the Constitution grant to the federal government, or any of the laws of nature and nature's God grant to individuals, or any of the reserved powers, authorities, and rights that were reserved to the states? Where does any of that create the authority to take unborn life? And if you can't find it, you can't do it.
Well, that's exactly right. And, this conflict between the states and between the federal power of government, the power of the federal government, rather, that really hit hard in 1973 with Roe v. Wade, because there were a number of states that we, the people in those states, used their constitutional given authority by the 10th Amendment to do just that, to say, in this state, we recognize what the Declaration of Independence says, that we are all given by our Creator the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So they did that. The federal court came in and said, nope, we're going to create out of whole cloth this right for a woman to kill her unborn child. I'm glad to see states like Oklahoma getting back to protecting these unborn people.
That's right. That's exactly right. I mean, the states need to be, when they take these steps, look, this is an important lesson too, is that we want to win, absolutely, on this life issue. But that doesn't mean that you just fight the battles that you will win. It's important to keep the pressure on every state that's willing to file a personhood amendment needs to do so. We need to keep the pressure on until we protect these little people that need so much our protection.
Very well said, Sean. And folks, Liberty Counsel intends to keep the pressure on. Go to our website, lc.org. We have a pamphlet for you, The Truth About Abortion. You can download it or give us a call at 1-800-671-1776. Get the facts about abortion, about the growing abortion homicide occurring here in the United States of America. Liberty Counsel is standing in the gap to defend unborn children. We need your help to do so. Go to lc.org or give us a call, 1-800-671-1776.
You have been listening to Faith and Freedom with Liberty Counsel. We hope that we have motivated you to stand up for your faith, family, and freedom. We can accomplish a lot when we work together. Get informed and get involved today. Sign up for our free monthly newsletter, The Liberator. We will send it out to you free of charge. Stay informed with our Liberty Alert email updates. Just click on the website at www.lc.org or call us at 1-800-671-1776. Tune in next time to learn more about your rights right here on Faith and Freedom.